Hi everybody, it's Laura from Green Tree, and today I am talking about fast, healthy food. And when I say fast, I'm not talking 40-minute dinners. I'm talking I need to eat, and I need to eat now, as quickly as possible. These are options for those nights when fast food is either just not what you want to have, or it's not in the budget. You can't stop and pick something up, but you need to eat right away. So we're going to go through some of the basic combinations you can do, and then I'm going to give you a recipe. So first one I'm going to suggest is breakfast burritos. So get yourself some tortillas, big ones if you like. These really aren't burrito size, but this is what I accidentally grabbed off the shelf. So imagine these are burrito size. You want some of these guys, and then I highly recommend these little instant rice packets. So heat up one of these, toss it in a frying pan with some like taco seasoning or Mexican seasoning and a can of beans, and then scramble a couple of eggs into it. Wrap that up in your burrito shell, dinner, boom. Takes maybe 10 minutes if you decide to shred some cheese. Potentially a lot less if you're just throwing this stuff together, because this is already gonna be hot. Takes only 90 seconds to heat it up, and that's gonna start cooking the eggs really fast, so it's a very quick process. Crockpot Tacos. This is one that one of our staff members suggested. Take a couple of chicken breasts, throw it in the crock pot in the morning, pour a jar of salsa over the top, and leave that cook all afternoon. When you get home, you just reach in with some tongs, break it up, toss it on some tortillas, and you have tacos that you didn't have to do hardly anything. There's no prep in the morning because all you're doing is pouring one thing over the top of the other, salsa over chicken, and then at night all you have to do is basically reach in there with some tongs and pull it out. It'll fall right apart. So that's another super fast one. Another thing that I like to call in my house emergency dinners. So when there's just no time, I will get one of these little brown rice packets, and we have all sorts of really great Indian dinners. These things are just heat and serve. So between the two of these, I mean, you're looking at less than 5 minutes to eating. On days where it's really an emergency, this is it. Like these two things together. When I have a little bit more time and I want to make it a bit fancier, something that I really love to add is like a cut up avocado. This adds a really nice creamy texture to the dish. So I'll just stew the rice, the Indian dinner, and some sliced avocado. You could toss in some other veggie if that's what you like, but I think the texture complements it really well. Hi, Trinity. So that's the go-to emergency dinner in my house. Like, we need food already. It needs to be done 5 minutes ago. That's what we go for. Pasta and veggies. So if you're somebody who likes pasta, and who doesn't like pasta, take a bag of pasta. This is pretty much the fastest one dish way to do it. Boil this pasta with, I usually would use for one bag of pasta, 2 bags of frozen veggies. Any kind of mixture of frozen veggies that you like, put them both in the boiling water together. You don't have time, you're not getting out 2 separate pots, it's not happening. When the pasta is done, pour everything into a colander together. Take whatever your favorite sauce is, pour it back in that pasta pot, leave it in there just long enough to heat up, and toss the drained pasta and veggies back in the pot, mix it up, and you have enough to feed like 6 people in probably 15 minutes, shorter if your pasta doesn't take as long to boil. The only thing that I would say is you do want to add like an extra 1 to 2 minutes to your typical boiling time, because the frozen veggies are going to bring the temperature of the water down significantly, so you need just a little bit of extra time for it to come back up once you've added this in. And the flavor you choose will affect the flavor of your dinner. Like, for example, this is roasted sweet potatoes and kale, which is what I used in the recipe I'm going to show you guys later. This is pretty all-purpose. You could throw some kind of sauce that was going to give it a Mexican flavor, an Italian flavor, just sort of a general vinegar sauce, and this would have worked with all of them. Okay, scrambled eggs. I'm sure that we've all done this at one time or another. There is nothing wrong with having scrambled eggs, or if you prefer, scrambled silken tofu for your dinner. But if you want to make it a little healthier, scramble in your frying pan and then toss in something like a little bit of frozen or fresh spinach, handful of that, or some halved cherry tomatoes, some kind of other vegetable option just to give you a little bit more flavor there, and then like a sprouted or whole grain toast. If you want to add some extra oomph to that, I like to put hummus on my toast instead of butter. It adds extra protein, it adds extra fiber, makes it stick with you a little bit longer than if you just butter it. And that's another one that's only going to take about 5 minutes to do. Depends on how fast you like to cook your eggs, but for me, if it's scrambled eggs for dinner, we're doing high temperature, quick cooking. Also with eggs, you can do a frittata or an omelet almost as quick as you can scramble eggs. Takes a tiny bit more effort, but it's easy to do the same thing with throwing in a bunch of random veggies, just to up that nutrition content a little bit as you go. If you're really, really desperate and you need a dinner that not only is going to be fast to make, but that you can take with you, smoothies are a good way to go. I know this is another breakfast for dinner thing that people don't think of a lot, but you can go ahead and throw directly into your smoothie silken tofu. Even if you don't like tofu, this has a texture that's going to basically feel like pudding in your smoothie. It's going to add a ton of protein, like a half a block of this for one serving, maybe the whole thing for two. You can put dry oatmeal directly into your smoothie. You can throw carrots directly in if it's a fruit smoothie. A couple of big dollops of peanut butter if you want something a little bit more towards the savory, desserty flavor. And you can get a ton of protein and fiber packed into a smoothie. And then you can just literally take that bullet cup, if you've got one, right off of there and drink it as you head out the door. So if it's a real gotta go now situation, that's a great dinner. Ramen with extras. This is something I like a lot. There's actually a whole other video on ramen, so if you're interested in that one, I suggest checking it out. But basically, take your water that you would use for your ramen, whether you want to do it in the microwave or on the stove, start heating it up, and toss some vegetables into that before you add your ramen. Once the vegetables are partially cooked, add your packet, add your ramen noodles. If you want to add an egg, you can add it at this point. Stir it all up, and then there you go, you got a dinner. It's a single serving, which is great if you're on the run or if you're the only one eating. And you can also add any leftover random protein that you have in the fridge, whether that's tofu, sliced chicken, steak bits, and have one bowl ready to go right away. You can also customize it for multiple people who are eating at the same meal if you have picky eaters in your house. So I got a question about my name tag. So my name tag is not backwards because I have a special one. Everything else is backwards because the way this app works, I have to use the front camera on the phone so I can show you things and know that they're actually going to be in the view because I don't have somebody else filming this. So everything is flipped, but I give you my name tag right way around. So if you have questions about this later, you'll know who to come in and ask. So Judy, that's why my name tag's not backwards and everything else is. Next thing. Bean, tuna, or chicken salad. This is a great one if you have, whether you have one person or multiple people, you can easily stretch or contract the recipe. So I'm talking about the real bare basics. Get yourself some canned chicken or tuna or a can of beans. A can of beans definitely makes 2 servings, so that's good if you have a couple of people or if you want leftovers for the next day. Basically, take whichever one of these proteins you want to use, mash it up with some mayo or some veganese. If I have time, I like to throw in some fresh chopped herbs or veggies. If I don't, we just go with the basics. Something creamy plus your protein. If you want to go ahead and make it lower carb, you can throw that on a piece of lettuce and eat it that way as your wrap. You can put it in a tortilla if you need it to be more portable, or you can use some of the multigrain or sprouted grain toast if you want something that's going to add a little bit of protein and fiber to the dish. So it's a really easy to do meal, very fast, and it can be kind of customized without a lot of extra effort. And honestly, if you're really running behind, just mix it up in a dish and eat it with the fork. Sometimes that's what has to happen, and that's okay. It's still going to be better than stopping for some kind of, greasy bag dinner. So it's another fast one that I definitely make on semi-regular. The semi-regular. I usually do put it on toast, put in a little bit of effort, but sometimes there's not time. PB&B. So instead of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, try peanut butter and banana. The banana is going to give you a little more fiber and starch. It's going to keep you feeling full longer than jelly or jam would. You can also do it with apples, PB and A, if you want to do peanut butter and apple. And these are things that are going to make the sandwich more filling. It's still really fast. It's got that childhood comfort factor. So it's very kid friendly if you're trying to feed somebody picky. And again, you can choose like a heartier bread if you want to add more to the nutrition oomph of the meal. And if it just, it needs to be whatever was in the fridge, you can make the same thing on a bagel. You can spread your peanut butter or your other nut butter on a tortilla. And then throw your chopped banana and some nuts and stuff in there and roll it up and eat it like a burrito. You have some options there too. But when you, instead of doing just the jelly, you add something with a little more substance to it, you're going to end up feeling full for longer, because the goal of a fast dinner is not just to be full in that second. It's because you're having a busy day, you need to be full for a while. You don't have time to make something else. Black bean soup. This is one I love to make in the winter. Get a can of refried black beans. Brand doesn't matter. This is the one that we happen to have. And for every can of refried black beans, you want about 2 cups of broth. I like to use chicken broth. Vegetable broth works great. I don't know how beef broth would taste, but you could try it if that's what you have. So 2 cups of broth for every can of refried beans. Mix it up. I like to add a tablespoon or so of taco seasoning or Mexican seasoning. And then if you don't want it to be entirely smooth, you can add in part of a bag of frozen corn. That'll give it a little bit of texture. You can serve it as is. You can throw some shredded cheese, dairy or non-dairy, on top. You can put a little dollop of sour cream or yogurt and swirl that in. But it's really fast. It's very satisfying. Lots of fiber, lots of protein, and minimal effort, which is kind of what we're going for today. Let's see. Another thing you can do if you kind of have time to pick something up, but it's not going to be enough. So those ready-to-eat salads, all right? You can find them all sorts of different places. We have them here. Get yourself a burrito-sized wrap. Spread it with hummus, and then take that salad, spread it through the wrap. If you have any extra kind of protein in your fridge, some sort of marinated tofu, sliced chicken breast, steak, anything like that, you can lay that across the top, wrap it up and eat it. It's easier than sitting down to eat the whole salad. It gives you extra sort of fillingness to the meal when you're adding that fiber and the protein of the hummus to it. And the hummus will act as the dressing. You could actually, if you have a thick enough dressing, you could spread that directly on the tortilla as well. But I really like hummus for this because you're adding beans, you're adding fiber, you're adding protein when you go to eat the salad. And you can even walk around eating it if you need to, which sometimes you need to. Sausage and veggies. This one is also recommended by a member of our staff. We're talking, again, any kind of mixed veggies that you really like to have. And then you can either take like a breakfast sausage and kind of chop it into chunks, any sort of pre-made meatballs, or if you want to go kind of the easier hamburger helper route, which sometimes is totally necessary, ground meat. So you just want to saute your ground meat until it's basically cooked through, or your feisty beef crumbles, whatever you have, and then toss in your veggies as soon as the meat is heated through. If you want to add any extra seasoning to that, throw it on top. I mean, honestly, salad dressing works great for that kind of thing in the moment if you just need to add some flavor. But whatever you kind of like on top of that, and again, depending on how many packages of your protein and how many packages of the veggies you put in there, you can feed, any sort of range of size of people from 2 servings up to 10. Just depends on what you need to make. And then finally, I'm going to give you a recipe. Oh, I see Amy on there, so she loves hummus on her wraps. Yeah, hummus on your toast, hummus on your wraps. Hummus thinned down with a little bit of lemon juice and olive oil makes a great salad dressing. Hummus is actually really versatile. I enjoy having it around and mixing it into a lot of different things. You could even add it into an already existing salad dressing to make it creamier. You can mix it into any kind of vinegar-based dressing to kind of spread it across your dish a little bit more. So, finally, I'm going to give you the recipe for the item that I'm sampling today. So this is a 4-ingredient dinner, sorry, 4, I know how to count, that comes together literally as fast as you can heat it through. So, first I'm going to show you what it looks like. So you can kind of see there. I don't want to tip it too far because I don't want it to fall out. But so this is basically a 4-ingredient curry, but it's not spicy. It was really fast to make and it's quite tasty. So the first thing that you need is this 90-second rice. If you are so good on the forethought that you have made brown rice ahead and have it in your freezer, you could definitely use that. I usually don't have that much forethought or that much room in my freezer, so I will use one of these guys. So 90 seconds right here. A package of frozen vegetables. I really enjoy this combination. It's roasted sweet potatoes, kale, and cauliflower. I like it because it does have a relatively neutral flavor, so it mixes well with a lot of different flavors. And the nice chunks of sweet potato are good as kind of a texture difference because I want to feel like there's some heft to the dinner that I'm eating. So package of this, package of the instant rice. Then you need a protein. I used extra firm tofu because I wanted to keep the sample vegan today. You could easily use a chicken breast or any other kind of pre-cooked meat. I would suggest that if you're using meat, you do actually want to cook that real quickly in the pan before you add the other ingredients though. The tofu is great because it doesn't require any pre-cooking. Drain it, blot it, chop it into cubes, and it goes. And then finally, ingredient number 4, garam masala. So if you've never used garam masala before, it's a really aromatic spice blend. It's very similar to a curry powder, except it's not yellow because it doesn't have all the turmeric in it, and it's not spicy. There's no cayenne, but it's very aromatic, very pleasant Indian spice blend. You could use curry powder if you wanted yours to be spicy. I added a tablespoon and a half of this to the whole dish. And I'm sorry, that was actually, I was wrong, there's 5 ingredients, not 4. I guess I can't count today. And then the last thing that I added was to make it creamy, a can of coconut milk. You just want to shake this up really well because it will separate, especially if it's cool. This kind of temperature it won't separate as much, but you shake it up, open it, pour it in there. Heat through, and you have dinner. I salted to taste. If you can't have a lot of salt, you can go ahead and skip that step. But I think it adds to the flavor. So I'm going to run through that one more time, the 5 ingredients, and this is a super fast dinner. I would say definitely feeds at least 3, probably 4 if everybody's not like ravishingly hungry. So, coconut milk, garam masala, about 1.5 tablespoons is what I used, 90-second brown rice, frozen veggies, and extra firm tofu. There you go. Heat it through and dinner is ready. There's no risk of foodborne illness if you're not using any raw meat in it. Like I said, if you want to use the raw meat, just cook that through first and add everything else. On most stovetops, this is going to take you less than 15 minutes. It really feels like something that you put a bunch of time into, very satisfying at the end of a long day. So there you go. Those are my fast, healthy tips if you are like, I need dinner right now. If none of those work, if they're all still taking too long, come by the co-op. We have a deli. We've got food for you. Or Google healthiest fast food places. There are people who have gone out and done this research for you. So on those days when fast food absolutely has to be the option, you can see what the healthier options are and make a choice that's going to leave you feeling a little bit better afterwards. So there you go, fast healthy dinners. I'm going to be sampling this for the next, till about 5:30, 6 o'clock if you want to come down and try the dinner that I made. And I hope you guys are having a beautiful sunny Tuesday. Thanks, bye.